All right, buckle up, because we need to have a serious conversation about King Frederik of Denmark and why 2 years into his reign, he is still struggling to win back the hearts of his people. And when I say struggling, I mean the popularity polls are looking about as cheerful as a rainy day in Copenhagen. This is not the fairy tale ascension anyone expected, and the numbers tell a story the palace absolutely does not want told. But before we dive into the messy reality of modern monarchy, do yourself a favor and subscribe to Royal News Daily and hit that notification bell, because we are about to dissect exactly how a king can inherit a throne but still lose his people. Let us rewind for just a moment. January 2024, Queen Margrethe pulls off one of the most shocking royal moves in recent European history by abdicating, completely out of nowhere, handing the crown to her son Frederik. The Danish people were stunned, the media went into overdrive, and Frederik became king whether he was fully ready or not. Fast forward 2 years, and here is the uncomfortable truth. Frederik's approval ratings are still noticeably lower than what his mother enjoyed during her reign, and significantly lower than what most people expected for a relatively young modern monarch. So what on earth happened? How does a king who should be in his prime, leading Denmark into a new era, end up with popularity numbers that make palace advisors nervously shuffle their briefing papers? Well, let me give you 3 words that explain everything. Madrid, November 2023. Those photographs, the ones showing Frederik wandering around the Spanish capital with Mexican socialite Genoveva Casanova, absolutely detonated any goodwill he had built up over the years. The palace insisted it was innocent, just friends, nothing to see here. But the Danish public was not buying what they were selling. And here is the brutal reality of modern monarchy. Trust, once broken, is incredibly difficult to repair, especially when you're supposed to represent national values and family stability. Now, 2 years into his reign, Frederik is discovering that being king is not just about wearing the crown and attending state functions. It is about embodying what your nation believes in. And right now, a significant portion of Denmark is still side-eyeing their king with a healthy dose of skepticism. The polls do not lie, and what they are showing is that Danes have long memories when it comes to perceived betrayals. But wait, it gets even more interesting. While Frederik's numbers are struggling, guess whose popularity remains rock solid? Queen Mary. That's right, the Australian-born queen who married into this family, learned the language, adapted to the culture, and has been absolutely flawless in her royal duties, is apparently more popular than her husband. The irony is almost painful. Frederik was born into this role, groomed for it his entire life, and yet his wife, the outsider who had to learn everything from scratch, is the one the Danish people genuinely adore. Royal commentators have been analyzing this dynamic obsessively, and what they are finding is fascinating. Mary represents stability, dedication, and dignity. She has handled the Madrid scandal with grace, never complained publicly, and continued fulfilling her duties with professionalism that frankly puts others to shame. Meanwhile, Frederik is still trying to live down one monumentally poor decision that happened before he even became king. Here's what makes this situation particularly challenging for Frederik. He can't just apologize and move on. Royal protocol does not work that way. He can't give a tearful interview explaining his side of the story. He can't go on a charm offensive the way a politician might. All he can do is continue being king, showing up, doing the work, and hoping that eventually time heals the wound. But 2 years in, that healing process is moving at a glacial pace. The palace strategy appears to be pretending everything is fine, focusing on official duties, highlighting charitable work, and hoping everyone forgets. Spoiler alert, nobody's forgetting. Every public appearance gets scrutinized. Every interaction between Frederik and Mary gets analyzed by body language experts. Every poll that comes out gets compared to her mother's numbers during her reign. It's exhausting just watching it unfold. Imagine actually living it. What's particularly brutal is that Frederik is not a bad king from a technical standpoint. He shows up, he does the work, he represents Denmark at international events. By most measurable standards, he's competent. But monarchy is not just about competence. It's about connection, about embodying national pride, about being someone your people genuinely respect and admire. And that's where Frederik was still falling short. Some royal experts argue that he needs more time, that 2 years is not enough to overcome such a significant scandal. Others suggest that the damage might be permanent, that he'll spend his entire reign trying to rebuild trust that was shattered in a single evening in Madrid. The truth probably lies somewhere in between. Here's the really uncomfortable question nobody in the palace wants to address. What happens if his popularity never fully recovers? What does it mean for the Danish monarchy if they have a king that a significant portion of the population doesn't fully trust or